Oh, right. I want to share with you how I made a blast fill effect. Um, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of ways to make blast effects, and people probably already know lots of them. But I want to share with you a couple little hacks that I'm going to use in here that make it really nice and add something that you might not have thought of before. First, I'm going to start off with a little chicken wire and some plexiglass, sort of a translucent, base that sort of, controls the light as it passes through. You can use a totally clear one if you want, and, it'll be fine too. But I have this really cool little rippley sort of, translucent piece of plexiglass I want to use. It was sitting on my shelf and I'm like, this is what I'll use it for. So we just get some chicken wire from Home Depot. Probably want to use gloves when you cut this or handle it because the ends are kind of sharp. And unlike me, that's quite dull, I don't pay attention and I'll cut my hands up. I probably did 10 times here, but no big deal. Anyway, the whole idea is you want to just form this chicken wire into some sort of skeleton, some sort of base that your polyfill is going to go over the top of. Here, I'm just going to shape it into sort of a cylinder with open ends, and then I'm going to grab two more pieces of chicken wire and sort of ball it up and shove it into each end to add some stability to the overall structure. And so, yeah. And the whole idea behind wanting to do this was I already have some blast fill effects, but they look more like, like nuclear bomb type blast fill. And I want to recreate a scene from a Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2, where he's fighting Rhino in the end. And Spider-Man's swinging this manhole cover around and deflecting these missiles. And so in that shot, there's this huge explosion, and I want to sort of have that as the backdrop that Spider-Man's kind of swinging through. And so anyway, that's why I'm making such a big blast fill effect. And otherwise, I wouldn't make one quite this large. But I can always use it for other stuff too. And that's the great thing about blast fill effects is that, you can put them in a variety of scenes. You're never going to not need a blast fill effect at some point. So it's good to have one on your shelf, right? So the whole idea, like I say here, is we're going to get these bits of chicken wire flat to the surface of the plexiglass. And I just want to add a couple dots of glue real quick just to sort of get it tacked down before I start adding all of it. So I'll put my fingers in there and I'll just kind of press it down and make sure that it's flat flush against the plexiglass. And I didn't think about the fact that this glue would take, 30 seconds of me sitting here before it would actually dry. So what I do is, I reached for my little air pistol. I have a little air machine that is it's supposed to be used for creating, cleaning dust and stuff out of keyboards, but I use it for all kinds of other things. So we're going to use it to cool the hot glue down here really quickly so I don't have to waste 30 seconds of my time holding that and looking like a buffoon while it dries. Anyway, so yeah, these are cool little air dusters, by the way, too. I use them for drying alcohol and all kinds of different things. So we want to sort of trim this down and bend in the little ends on the edges because you don't want any of those sharp pieces poking out through the polyfill. You want the skeleton, the outside of it, to be pretty smooth. And I don't mean smooth by shape, but I mean smooth by no extrusions, nothing poking out of there. Bend all those loose ends inward, and then also you can use them to sort of bend in and hold the other bits of chicken wire that I'm going to put in here. Also, I sort of use them as like little locks and bend them inward. But the whole idea here is just to have a good smooth surface with no extrusions, nothing poking outward. And look at that little air pistol. It's pretty cool. And you wouldn't think that this hot glue would hold this to the plastic very well, but I promise you it is. These are the Gorilla Glue sticks too. This stuff is just really, really fantastic. It is strong. So it doesn't have to be pretty. You just want to get it in there and make sure that you've got it, enough on there where it's going to hold. I mean, this isn't going to support any weight. You're not going to hang from it or anything, so it doesn't have to be a whole lot of glue in there. But you just don't want the structure to move. So anyway, let's take these bits here with no gloves. I don't use gloves. You use gloves. And crumple them all up and roll it and fold it into a ball. And we're going to shove these in both ends of the main part of the base. And this is just going to give some stability and strength to the base and also help sort of beef it out just a little bit. And you can make your structure however you want. It just needs really just to be a big blob of chicken wire in the middle is all you really need. Blob, is that the word? Or could it be like, just a blob, just a mound of chicken wire in the middle is all you really need. So I'm going to twist this and finagle this in here, not cut my wrists up. Why am I making videos? I don't know. I take no safety precautions. I use no PPE. Gosh. But we'll get that in there. We'll twist it and we'll sort of stand it up on its end and then move it toward the, end of the deal there. And then tie some little bits of wire in here to sort of act like we're closing it up and giving it, tightening it up a little bit, sort of like metal stitches. But same thing here on this end. We're going to shove that in there and it's going to add some strength to it. You just don't want this thing flopping around and being all kinds of limp and you don't want it to move. You just want it to be pretty tight and secure. Just like this, like a little potato. Look, how cute. I like potatoes. Anyway, so we're going to get this end is open and we want to do the same thing. We want to sort of snug it up and give it a little more density. And once again, we're going to fold this little bit of chicken wire here up into sort of a ball with no gloves. My wife's, she works at a school district and one of the art teachers was interested in, seeing if I would want to come down and share my knowledge. I don't think that's wise. I don't even use gloves when I handle chicken wire. What would I offer students? Anyway, so let's get all that shoved in there. We're going to take little bits and pieces of the ends that are poking out, and I'm just going to make use of them. I'm going to wrap them around each other and sort of lock this form in on itself and make sure that we've got a dense little ball here that we can sort of fill out with polyfill and create a nice solid center. All right, cool. I'm going to show you a trick here. This spray adhesive is really nice because what it does is when you spray it outside, make sure you do this outside, it sprays over the skeleton of the chicken wire and it goes on sort of like spider webs, man. It's really cool. But you can see it here. It's got a yellow color to it, but it allows that whole skeleton of chicken wire to become adhesive. So I don't have to put hot glue in there and then make a mess of dripping hot glue all the way down through the skeleton. The whole chicken wire mass is now sticky and I can go ahead and fill out my polyfill on it, creating the right shape and right little billowy bits of, fluffiness that I want, creating some recesses and some billowiness and just sort of teasing out and pulling and shaping the polyfill. Here's the trick that a lot of people don't know, and it's one that I use. This is a spray, just another spray adhesive, but the difference is this one here just comes out, it's just a regular spray adhesive. It mists out and it's clear. So you don't want to do this with a yellowy one, but you want to mist it over the top. And then you want to go ahead and take your hands and lightly pat it inward. And what this does is it takes all those little, you ever see toy photos where you've got a polyfill effect, but you've got all these little bits of, hairy looking strands of wild polyfill, and it sort of kills the effect. Well, if you lightly mist this spray adhesive over the top and then lightly pat it down, you bring all those fibers in on themselves and you don't have all those wispy little weird looking strands everywhere. Not only that, but it helps the paint stick. When you airbrush this, it helps the paint have a more textured surface to adhere to. And so it's just a nice trick. Don't go spraying this on super heavy and strong and then pressing it down. It's just a real light touch like I'm doing here. And it's bringing in all the little wispy little fibers back into the, main body of the polyfill blast effect here. And so one thing you want to look for, you don't want big holes. You want recesses, but you don't want holes where you're going to be able to see the chicken wire through. And you want to make sure you cover all those little bits up, because when you put a light under this, you don't want to see the chicken wire through it. So you want the polyfill on there thick enough to where it's going to hide that. And I'm just going to grab some oranges and yellows and reds and blacks here. And I'm going to take myself outside here, and you're going to little airbrush thinner to reduce it down to get it through my airbrush. You could probably do this with a spray paint too if you want. It's not going to be as controlled with a spray paint, and you're not going to get all the nice little blends and transitions of color as nicely, but you can certainly do it with spray paint too. So I'm going to start off with my yellows. I look like a cake decorator, huh? Spinning it around on the table. Look like I really know what I'm doing, but I don't. Start off with my yellows, because on my yellows are sort of the brightest color of this. Then you can, throw some reds, or go over the yellow with an orange and then a red over the top of that, and create some different layers of colors. And you want some white billowy bits left out. You want to create some shape with this, and you got to kind of visualize a fireball. Have one, a photo nearby for reference, or, something, in your mind. And you want to just start shaping this with the lightest color to the darkest color. A fireball doesn't. Yeah, well, here you go. This is what it looks like. This is the end result, man. I think I'm going to get some great pictures out of this. Look, I mean, we've got some blacks, we've got some oranges and whites and recesses, and it's a nice looking fireball. Man, I mean, what else can I say? It's a blast effect, right? Hope you guys like it. I can't wait to get some photos done with this, and I'll be sure to share those too. Thanks to my Patreon members. If you're not a Patreon member, get over there and check me out on Patreon. I'll put the link in the description of the video down below on YouTube. You can even put gelled lights under here and create different colored effects too. So anyway, you guys take care. Appreciate you watching.